It's 5 o'clock and 55 seconds. Turn on your headlights. It's time for Night Drive. Good evening, and welcome to Night Drive. I'm Horace Wexler. It's late, and I am feeling great in this little slice of paradise. I hope you are too, wherever you are, or whatever you're doing out there this evening. It's been a quiet week here in Fakahatchee, which I know is probably a relief to many of you out there who are happy to finally have a chance to catch their breath. Of course, recently, Crumbler Farms was burning, and we had the blood sprinkle that fell out of the sky, and that was obviously very unnerving to a lot of people. So I find you just have to take the moments of calm between the storm, and whenever you can, just grab them, and grab them we shall. And so, in that spirit, I thought we would do something a little bit different here tonight on Night Drive. I thought instead of talking about the day's events or diving into your opinions on city government, I thought we'd take a moment to celebrate culture and some of the great works. Specifically, some of the great works of literature. I'm speaking, of course, about authors like Voltaire, Shakespeare, Dickens, Homer, and that crazy Odyssey of his. Just true masters of the written craft. You know what? Let's get fancy tonight. Let's talk about literature. I've got my pipe, and I've got my smoking jacket, and even though station management won't allow me to have a fireplace here in the booth, I've pulled up a nice one here on my tablet. It's a lovely little hearth. Every 15 minutes, a hand comes into frame to poke the logs a little bit, so I like to pretend it's my arm. I'm also sipping a brandy flavored scud, and in between those sips, I hope to bring a little air of civility and culture to the airwaves. And that's all tonight on Night Drive. I know that there is a certain pleasure in the books, both old and new, and the great works, especially. We consider to hold truths that will live within us and that have stood the test of time. Stories like A Tale of Two Cities, Lysistrata, Gravity's Rainbow. So call in tonight and we'll talk about some of your favorite books, some of the favorite tomes that you've read. Maybe we'll dabble in some of the finer points and themes of literature that may have stuck with you since you read them in school, or perhaps you discovered some of these universal truths contained within these dusty pages later on in your life. We'll be diving into absolutely all of these word things tonight here on Night Drive. So put on your reading spectacles and let's talk books. If you would like to call in to share your favorite book or your favorite piece of literature, that number is 305-209-9686. I'm Horace Wexler. You're listening to Night Drive. While we wait for those lines to light up, I have to say I feel like I'm finally starting to get a hang of the mayor's 5 o'clock here initiative this week. It still doesn't make a lick of sense, but I am starting to make peace with it. Fitting it into my schedule just essentially means that I have to be everywhere, but also nowhere at the very same time. I find that it's gotten me out of a slew of annoying appointments, including one with the station owner. So just try and find me. I'm also having an especially good week because feeling pretty good about the fact that I don't know how to put it, but I guess you could say that I was robbed sometime last night while I was doing this very show. Someone broke a window and backed a white van up to my double wide and took all 90 of those bean grinders. And can I just say, I finally feel free. It feels like an albatross has been removed from my neck. We're starting to get some calls in there. So unfortunately, if you were trying to get in touch with me to buy one of those coffee grinders, one of those bean grinders, well, I'm not selling them anymore because they are all gone. So if the burglar is out there and listening tonight, firstly, thank you. Thank you very much. Secondly, I am not filing a police report. I'm definitely not going to the police with this. So do what you will, because this has been a a real boon for me, and I can finally sleep in my bed again. My stove and oven aren't packed to the gills with bean grinders. It's a fabulous day. It's a fabulous week, and I hope that you are having the same experience. So let's get into it. Let's start talking some books right over here with line 2. Line 2, go ahead, caller. Let's hear all about your favorite piece of literature.
Hey there, am I on?
Yep, you're on. What's your favorite piece of literature?
Litter. Is that like litter? Is that like trash?
No. It just means books.
My favorite trash is probably an old fast food bag, or actually no. It's probably an empty soda cup full of ice. Love the way the ice flies when you sling the whole thing out the truck window.
No. Books. Literature is just a fancy word for books.
Well, do sound a lot like litter, though, don't it?
It does sound a lot like litter.
Maybe that person thought books are trash?
I wouldn't think so. But what's your favorite book, caller?
Oh, yeah, I see. Well, that's a way easier question than what my favorite trash is. Only one book leaps to my forefront.
Yeah, okay, let's hear it.
Oh, yeah, talking about that Da Vinci Code.
The paperback by Dan Brown.
Oh, Danny Brown spends a real yardin', don't he? Spent the whole day thinking about Jesus being married when I read that part. Blew my top straight off. Even think about it now, I need to go sit a spell because it makes my knees all weak. That feels dangerous, but it's not. It feels so good. It's like candy. All right, Horace, I got to go sit down and maybe take my hands now. I'll talk to you later.
Well, okay. Thanks for calling. I'm not sure I'd call the Da Vinci Code literature, but we're just getting warmed up here talking about books. And I'm sure that's going to launch us right into the classics. Catcher in the Rye, Gravity's Rainbow. Let's go over here to line 2. Line 2. I want to hear all about what tremendous literature you're consuming. Go ahead, caller.
You want to hear what?
The books that you've read. We're talking books tonight on NightDrive.
Oh,
What's your favorite book, sir?
didn't know there was a it's that's easy. It's Da Vinci.
A book by Leonardo da Vinci. I haven't heard of.
Da Vinci, the Da Vinci Code, the book, the greatest book, Da Vinci Code.
Okay, you sound like an older fella. I maybe would have assumed that maybe there was like some great piece of literature that you had read in the past. Are you sure it's the Da Vinci Code?
Yeah, well, it's a flawless piece of fiction. It's even better than National Treasure, the movie, and it's a book. Which, like, find me another time that the book is better than the movie. It's fast paced, and he connects all these dots, and you don't see it coming, and then it happens, and you're like, oh, I could have seen that coming. It's a perfect book. Whereas if you read the older books, for example, The Scarlet Letter,
right?
It's a piece of shit, and it's too many words.
Well, I'm not sure that I love your opinion on this, but I like the spirit of where this is going. We're talking literature.
It's all run-on sentences if you think about it, and it's what it is it's trash. It's smut, and it's trash, and it's poorly written. And if you want to find a book that's better than the Da Vinci Code, you can't. And if you tell me otherwise, then you're lying to me and yourself. I was told this was the programming that talked about the happenings at Fakahatchee and where people they make their waves and they speak about the truth about what's really going on here.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's been a fairly slow week, so I thought I would class things up with a little book talk, as it were. Did you have some sort of event you wanted to share, or I mean, you could always put something on the community announcements if it was.
There's no announcement to be made, and if you think it's a slow week, then that's because you've been looking in the wrong direction. You haven't seen what's happening in the streets and the gangs that are taken to the streets. Let me introduce myself. My name is Chowderhorn. You may have heard of me.
I have, if I remember correctly. You were in the mayor's race. You were almost our mayor.
I was damn near almost your mayor.
Mm-hmm.
If the things had fallen a little differently, if the bodies had fallen a little differently, I would be in charge.
Right.
And I wouldn't be listening to this goddamn drivel from Royston.
Are you talking about the Royston Bong donor of the 8th Street Dust Kings?
That's exactly who I'm talking about. Royston Bong donor, my arch nemesis.
Right.
And the guy who's about to go on blast. That's what I'm doing right now. You're on blast, Royston. I put it out there. Everybody knows now. You watch your old bed sore-ridden back.
Why is he your nemesis?
Well, this is why you need to be looking at the street. There's a war going on, Horace.
Yeah.
There's a war between my people, the T-ball walkers, and Royston and his group.
I didn't put that together.
Yeah.
You're with the T-ball walkers.
I am the leader of the T-ball walkers. I'm not with them. I am at the head. I am at the front. I am leading this battalion.
Right. You're putting Royston on blast. What's going on? What's kicking off this back and forth?
Well, it's because it's a turf war is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming from my country club. And that is something that will not stand.
Right.
I hate seeing his face anywhere, but there's a bridge too far, and that's the bridge that goes into my country club.
What is it about the and just for the listeners at home, my understanding is the country club is not an actual country club. It's just a very nice bar in a house with a backyard, and I believe it has the Italian bowling, like bocce ball, and
that's right.
Does it have cornhole? Right. I've never actually been down there.
Does not have cornhole. I don't think I know cornhole.
Right.
It does have is the bowls, the bocce, and it's got the puzzles.
Yeah.
It's got the TV is always on at an audible volume. Forgive if you just heard the noise perk up. I turned on my scooter.
Right.
Charging my phone from the USB port.
Oh, that sounds like a nice scooter.
Oh, it's a tremendously nice scooter. I drive the one and only Gaustad Florentine in town, and that's what you know when Skrit Chowderhorn's on the way.
I'm trying to remember. I only sort of know about scooters in passing. I've heard the Zipperoo was pretty good, but the Gaustad Florentine, that's top of the line.
The top of the line. The line crashes and explodes, and the tiny pieces form sparkles around the Gaustad Florentine.
Well, I mean, I guess that's kind of a perk that comes with being the head guy, huh?
You know what? I don't want to say it's a perk. I don't get perks. I've earned my position. I've earned my status through hard work and not taking any goddamn grief from floppity floobities like Royston Bong Butt.
You guys you're having some tussles over this space. Are you planning any sort of retaliation against the 8th Street Dust Kings?
Yeah. I mean, I'm planning all sorts of retaliations. We're gonna, probably where his head is. I think we're gonna kill him.
Oh, that's just in the streets.
I want to walk that back, not in like a traditional murder way, but with futzing around with their meds and stuff. I got on on Amazon. I got this medical grade is sort of like, it's for people who are shitting themselves to death. Can I say that on the radio?
Yeah, we're on the button here, so
it's for the people who are shitting themselves to death. It slows their pooping down and it stops them.
Mm-hmm.
For the opposite type of person who's trying to take their shits, they can't anymore. They back up and the organs shut down because they're so full of turd.
So it essentially plugs you up, and then I assume your whole colon is bricked with feces, for lack of a better word.
As far as I understand it, from talking to Leonard Scroggins, Lenny Skinny, it backs up, it gets out of your intestines, and essentially you get feces in your vein.
Oh.
You got that in your blood. You turn brown if you live that long.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I'm going to do to them. That's what we're going to do
to all of them,
guys. Whoever we can sneak. I mean, look,
how are you gonna get the pills in them? Are you gonna hold them down and force them into their mouth, or?
Yeah, they're old and dumb. Just put it in the drinks or their food. I give a little wink and a pat on the butt to a nurse, and I tell her to slip this into old Mickey Johnson's drink, and then suddenly Mickey Johnson explodes like a turd balloon, and I got my ways.
Well, I have to admit, this is incredibly interesting, but it's a long ways from maybe the more cultured aspect that I was hoping for when I declared this book week. I guess I was unaware that people could die this way.
Think about it. Think about it, Horace. Think about how often you poop, and then think about taking that out of your life.
Right.
Come on, it's science.
I know you're a leader here, but as in sort of an outside perspective, are you giving them a lot of time in the bathroom to potentially plan retribution? I mean, typically that's where I do my best thinking. So I'm worried that if you're suddenly like sending them to a place where they're going to spend more and more time.
Right. You gotta think about this a couple of ways. First off, this is a war in which you always have to expect that the other side is plotting and planning, and that is why I drive the fastest scooter in town, and so I feel I can escape whatever they bring my way. And
right.
The second thing is when you go to the bathroom and you can't go to the bathroom, and the inside of your body is turning into the contents of a forgotten porta potty. I'm not worried about the plans you're making. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not particularly worried about the great schematics delivered by a man who is, as he tries to push out a turd, feels instead that poop bubbling up into his chest.
Ooh, that really does sound like just the absolute worst way to go.
That's what I was thinking when I thought of it. I was thinking, no, this is bad. That's awful.
Is there any sort of, I don't want to say like protection, but like if someone was going to like come for you with a gun, you'd put on like a bulletproof vest. Is there anything that they could possibly do to prevent this?
I don't plan on being like standing there saying, hey, I'm going to shoot you down with these bowel clogging meds. I'm not going to be there. I'll be on the streets to make eyes with stoner butt bong bones because I want him dead and I want him to see that feeling in my pupils. But I'm on my scooter and I'm off.
Right.
So they'll try and come for me. I don't know if you've seen a 78-year-old person try and lift and fire a gun. It doesn't typically end up sending the bullet in the proper direction. They're much more likely to break an arm bone. Metatarsal, So I'm not worried about guns.
Got it. That's probably smart. I mean, it seems like you possibly picked a more direct route to attacking your foes.
Yeah, as an older gentleman who's watched his body slowly start to betray him, I'm using that knowledge to target my enemy's weaknesses. Mm-hmm. War has changed. None of us could engage in cyber war because we can't work the shit. And we don't have the strength or the bone sturdiness for weapon combat.
Right.
We got to get smart. I got to go after him from the inside, the literal inside.
Look, I think it's probably incredibly intelligent, and it seems like a very good plan to me. Can I ask how you became head of the West Side T-Ball Walkers?
I as far as I recall, and you have to forgive me, memory. My memory sucks. I was the first to put the tennis balls on my walker to reduce the impact and the noisiness, and the others simply followed suit, and that really just launched me to the top of the pedestal, top of the what are those called? Those artwork with all the different faces. Totem pole, top of that.
So you were kind of like an ideas guy, and everyone was kind of like, "Hey, he's got ideas," and you sort of like got everyone. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I was a pharmacist before I retired, and so I know I'm a smart guy. It's
great. And unless you have anything else you want to share about literature, I think we're going to let you go and try to get on with Book Week. I'm sure Royston, if he's listening, is suitably on blast at this point.
You're on blast, Royston. Here, I got a book for you. Royston. It's called. Wait. Horace, what's a book? What's your favorite book?
Oh, that's a good question. There's so many good ones. I do quite like Oliver Twist. I think there's like a nice story of sort of finding your family, even though it may not be
Royston Bong Donor, I got a book for you. It's called Oliver Twist as much as you want. That poop's not coming out your butt.
Great. Well, we're going to go to another call. Thanks so much for calling in, and I hope you call in the future, and just maybe not again on Book Week. Thanks so much, Skrit.
See you in the streets, Royston.
Okay, let's take another call. Line 4, are you still on the line?
Hi, Horace. It's Logan Matthews.
All right, Logan, favorite book of all time. Go.
And my favorite book of all time, without question, I don't even need to read it to know this. I don't even need to see the movie to know this. It's the Da Vinci Code. What book could be better? Codes.
Just codes. Anything else?
No, that's it. Best book of all time. Love the show, Horace.
Well, there you go. We're going to keep Literature Week rolling along. Excited to talk about some classics tonight. I'm going to take a break. You're going to take a break too, because I'm taking a break, and then we'll be right back from that break, both you and I.
Want softer sweet dreams? I don't. I want to sleep like a goddamn rock. Like I died during the night, and now I'm waking up from it on the medical slab. If you come to wake me, guitar god Gerb Torgan, good fucking luck, muchacho. I sleep so hard, if there's a fire, I'm doomed to sleep through it. But it's okay, cause I'll cool off in hell. And it's all thanks to his pillow. He'd be here to tell you about it himself, but he's kind of a goon who constantly hangs a crucifix outside his shirt like he's afraid a vampire's gonna suck his neck off. Each his pillow is filled with 8 fucking ducks worth of soft-ass feathers, plumped like a goddamn marshmallow. Your neck's gonna come when it slaps skin with this sleep beast. And if you act now, you can get 2 his pillows for just $29.95. Use one on your neck, use the other however you want. I'm not a cop. Use it on your sick grandma for her inheritance. Fuck the pillow, scream your sins into it. I don't give a shit. I got paid for this already. $29.95, no promo code. These sleep silks are sick.
In honor of Literature Week, why don't we turn the page and we'll go to another caller. Let's go over here to line 6. Line 6, go ahead, caller.
Hi, Horace. How are you? Sheriff Bud Nichols here.
Hey, Sheriff, how are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. And, I just wanted to let you know, Horace, I know about the robbery that happened at your trailer. My men are doing their best to find out what happened to all those bean grinders.
Oh, Sheriff, you absolutely, please don't bother. They've done me a favor. I'm so glad that those bean grinders are not in my trailer anymore. I can actually sleep in my bed again. I would hate for them to be returned.
It is still stolen property though, so we are going to have to keep pursuing it.
Right.
We thought that first thing that happens when something valuable is stolen is usually somebody's going to try and fence those goods. So we thought, well, we've just got to try and find somebody who's trying to sell a bunch of grinders.
Yeah.
So we went online. Horace, I got to tell you, bud, don't type grinder into your search bar unless you're looking to smoke some dope or meet a nice fella.
Oh, well, I hadn't, but that seems like good advice overall. I think my biggest worry here, Sheriff, is that not so much about the search bar, but is there any possibility that these bean grinders might come back to me?
Oh, well, we'll have to look into case law on that. I can't guarantee anything either way.
Okay, because if it comes, like, I would love if they were just like marked evidence and then put into like some giant box that like nobody ever opened again.
Sure. Well, I can, between you and me and your audience here, I can tell the boys to pump the brakes a little bit on that investigation if need be.
I would really appreciate it. Like, I don't want to tell law enforcement what to do or ask for any favors, but if you could not solve this crime, that would be very helpful for me.
Okay, I'll keep it in mind.
Well, let's talk books, Sheriff. I know you're calling in. It's Literature Week. What's your favorite book? What's your favorite piece of literature? I gotta imagine it's something law enforcement related, like To Kill a Mockingbird, or maybe Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky.
Well, see, I do like a good mystery,
Mm-hmm.
A thriller. So in that vein, I'd have to say my favorite book is this one my daughter gave me a few years ago.
Oh yeah,
it's called The Da Vinci Code. The Da Vinci Code. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's good. It's it's like I said, it's kind of a mystery thriller adventure. They got the bad guy in there. He's this albino fellow. He's always beating on himself with a rope. He's a real spooky dude going around murdering folks.
Right. Yeah, I do remember the albino.
Worth checking out if you haven't before.
To avoid talking about the Da Vinci Code too much more.
No, we could talk about it more. I'm happy to.
I think we're good. I think I'm good.
Okay.
Sheriff, what are you doing down on William Briden Avenue? What's the situation going on down there? I know my producer was telling me the other day he was like a little scared to go down there because he felt like it was getting a little rough. What's the sitch? What's the situation?
Yeah, we got some of them old boys getting a little rowdy down there. But,
I mean, it's a little like the Montagues and Capulets from Romeo and Juliet, right?
Are they who are they in Romeo and Juliet?
Well, they're the two families that are warring with each other.
Is that kind of like Opus Dei and that other group of monks in Da Vinci Code?
It's a lot like that, actually.
Yeah, that's I think that's appropriate thing. Yeah, Capulets and Montagues down there on William Briden, and but I mean things got pretty bad down there. But I think we've largely got it under control. I think I told you before about the Trailblazers.
Right.
Program.
I think you mentioned that. I can't remember if that was on air or off air. But just for our listeners at home, can you tell us what the Trailblazers were again?
Well, it's kind of a community youth outreach to get some of these kids perhaps looking forward to a career in law enforcement.
Right.
You know, it gives them after-school activities. It gets us a little help, to be honest.
Young people solving mysteries like the Hardy Boys or Harriet the Spy or Encyclopedia Brown.
Or Robert Langdon from Da Vinci Code.
Right. I suppose he is a younger professor.
Yeah. So we got them down there. They're not exactly solving mysteries or anything just yet, but you know, it's kind of boots on the ground, you know, and just having a bit of a police presence, albeit a young, not technically police presence, has been pretty helpful. Because you know what we realized is if you get these guys occupied with something else other than gang fights and boomer brawls and getting drunk and riding their scooters up and down the street, if you keep them occupied, they don't have as much time left for that. So, tell you what, Horace, what do old people love to spend their time doing? Talking the ear off of young people.
Oh, wow. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, we got these young folks down there. And, you know, they'll stand there, they'll sit there in their scooter or stand on the walker. They'll talk to these kids all day. So what we've got these kids doing, we said, find one of these old fellers, ask them what the good old days were like. You know, go up to one of these guys and say, hey, why don't you tell me about Bobby Kennedy? You know, complain about how tough your life is to one of these old folks. Those guys will go on all night. They run out of time. There's no time left for fighting.
Right.
Just get them going. Eventually, they'll fall asleep.
And that seems to be sort of like settling the heat that's building up down there. Is that correct?
There's still plenty of animosity between T-ball walkers and the Dust Kings, but it at least kind of puts a damper on some of that rage.
Sucks some of the air out of the fire. Like the fire can't burn as hot if there's no oxygen.
Be careful when you start talking about old people and taking away oxygen.
Oh,
you know,
right.
They got them tanks.
Talking about fire, first of all, there's a terrific book called Fahrenheit 451 about fires, but perhaps you can tell us something about the arson investigation at Crumbler Farms. How's that going?
Now, unfortunately, not everything can be wrapped up neatly in a bow in real life, you know, like it is for my man Robert Langdon. But the good news is here we were able to get a confession out of RJ Robar Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He did confess, but here we go. He claims that it was an accident.
Interesting.
He said he was out there on the loading dock, stressed out about the state of the store and, you know, of course, his daddy's health.
Right.
Said he was out there smoking a cigarette next to this pallet of toilet paper, which incidentally, Horace, I found out that's what old Robard Sr. was talking about when he said bum wad.
Oh, right. I guess that makes sense because you would wad it up and you would use it there.
So Robard Jr. He's out there smoking a cigarette by the bum wads, and he decides he's done. And he says that he put out the butt in this half-drunk can of Scud.
Right.
We asked him, we said, well, what flavor is Scud? He said it was butane berry. And we've actually had the arson investigators analyze this. That particular flavor, butane berry, does act as an accelerant.
Interesting.
So, you know, he claims that this fire was started accidentally by a cigarette butt in a can of butane berry Scud on top of this pallet of toilet paper.
Huh.
And the investigators, they said that's consistent with what they can tell. Now, I mean, we all kind of knew, didn't we, what happened here? Wasn't it pretty obvious?
I mean, it feels like we did.
Yeah, fire started for insurance reasons, and now RJ says that he did start the fire, but it was not intentional. Now, I tend to think that we just kind of gave him too much time to think about it,
Huh. I guess, is there any way for us to know for certain?
Well, it's difficult when the only real evidence we have that it wasn't accidental is that obviously he did this on purpose, right? But we can't prove it. So, we'll keep looking into it. But, boy, I find it real hard to believe he didn't do that on purpose.
Yeah. Are you going to put a case together? Is it going to go before a jury and you're going to let them decide, or?
Currently, we don't really have enough to charge him with anything really other than being a dummy out there smoking cigarettes next to an accelerant and a big old pallet of bum wads. That's some could argue that's a criminal stupidity right there.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's not actually a crime that we can charge him with.
Sheriff, can you stick with me? I got to play an ad here in the middle. Can you stick around over the break?
Hey, yeah, I got a few more minutes. I'll hang out.
Perfect. We'll be right back right after this.
Hello, my lovelies. We all know the magic of watching a sleeping pet nestle comfortably in their bed when who should be at the door but the Dream Fairy. Sprinkling sweet dreams into your pup or kitten's head, they could be dreaming about almost anything in those teeny tiny little eensy skulls, and you never know what unless you called me Fliff Moonkiss, Pet Dream Interpreter. I'll tell you all about the sweet little nonsense your little cuddlebug is dreaming of.
Miss Moonkiss helped me get into my bloodhound Basil's dreams. Apparently, he dreamt he was Barack Obama, but like a dog version named Bark Obama. And he had to make the difficult call to use drone strikes on Catalan, which Miss Moonkiss assures me was full of cat terrorists. Darn if I can't see the full weight of that decision on my boy Basil's face every day.
Who's a very good president? Yes, you are.
Fliff was wonderful, super professional. She said my cat, Pickles, was dreaming about being in a tiny little sailboat sailing around on the moon. Oh, and the moon was made of milk, and Pickles drank her fill. Because she had found a way to pick up the pieces after I'd been shot to death by an intruder after my jewelry. It was sweet. Terrifying, but sweet.
Pickles was a real sweetie. Oh, I could just eat her up.
My Labrador Horatio kept licking his lips while he was dreaming. Apparently he was lusting after the tasty sweet smell of cooked meat, and that meat was me, as I burned to death in a fire because I had left the oven on after making a very delicious blueberry pie. This is good information to have, I think.
Horatio was so darling. What a little munchkin. I have dozens of happy clients who let me solve the magical mysteries of their pets' escapades to dreamland, and I want to do it for you, so call me today. Or you can go to inmypetshead.com to book a dream consultation immediately. Almost everyone is too embarrassed to ask for their money back. Fliff Moonkiss, Pet Dream Interpreter. Pet Dream Interpreter.
All right, before we get back to the show, we just have a few Fakahatchee community announcements. The Mayor's Day Parade is just around the corner, which means floats. If you're full up with the spirit of Fakahatchee's mayors, both past and present, or are just absolutely buzzing to create large mobile flower arrangements that can hit 60 on a freeway with a tailwind, why not sign up to become part of the Fakahatchee Spirit Committee to help create the floats? Fair warning, there's a whole lot more spreadsheets than you would expect. A friendly reminder to be aware that new parking restrictions will be going into effect as Fakahatchee gears up for the annual Mayor's Day Parade coming up. The Parking Enforcement Office has said the restrictions will be often and ever-changing, and they're not afraid to write tickets. Just try them. They're not afraid at all. And they love to tow. One of the officers confided in me that they've set up a scavenger hunt for one lucky person who will be trying to get their car back so they can make it to work before they get fired. The city council requested all submissions for the property tax exemption be filed at latest by Friday noon, as they'll need time to deny all requests before leaving early for the weekend. And finally, T-ball tryouts are coming up. That's literally all the information they included here, so I guess find them yourself if you're into T-ball. Maybe that is the tryout. All right, let's get back to your calls. Sheriff, are you still with us?
I'm still here, Horace.
Why did you call in tonight? Was it just to talk about books, or did you have something else going on?
Of course. No, there's so much going on. I can't believe I forgot that this is why I was calling to tell you. We just wanted you, Horace, to be careful. The hot sauce man, he's really taken an interest in you. And he's proven himself to be a pretty dangerous guy. But we do here at the Sheriff's Department have reason to believe that the hot sauce man might be trying to recruit some kind of boy sidekick.
Really?
Like a teen protege. Whether or not he even succeeds in recruiting a teen boy sidekick, we don't need this fellow down there talking to teen boys around town.
Right. How'd this information come to you, Sheriff?
I'm almost embarrassed to admit how long it took me to kind of put the pieces together. But, we have our trailblazers down there. Primarily, they're focusing on Briden Avenue right now. One of these kids comes up to me here at the office. He says, Sheriff, I was down there on William Briden, and this fellow come up to me. He said, "You look like a real Buffalo boy."
Huh.
I said, what's a Buffalo boy? I thought it was some kind of slang that I just didn't know. I kind of blew it off. I said, hey, man, sticks and stones can break your bones.
Right.
But words will never hurt you. So he called you Buffalo Boy.
Buffalo Boy sounds like something that would come up if you type Grinder into a search bar.
Yeah. They're typing in the grinders, looking for Buffalo Boys. But, and some of these are, and I didn't think much of it, A couple days later, one of these other kids comes in. He says, "Sheriff, I'm down there at William Briden Avenue. This dude comes up to me and he says, 'Hey, how would you like to be a Scoville scamp?'"
Huh.
I said, "Scoville scamp? What? I don't know what a again, like what is this slang? I told the kid at the time, I said, I don't know what that means. I don't know why you're upset about it. Just every couple of days, another one of these kids will come in. Yes, this kid comes in. He says, "Sheriff, this guy came up to me downtown. He said, you look like a poblano punk." Yeah, well, you don't want to be called the punk, but what's the poblano got to do with it?
Right.
A few days later, another kid comes in. Says, "Sheriff, I was down there on William Briden Avenue. A guy came up to me. He said, 'Would you like to become a Chipotle chap?'" It went on and on like this for a while before I kind of put it together. Oh, these are all hot sauce related, pepper related, poblano.
Poblano and
they got that.
the Scoville. And
they got that Scoville scale.
And I mean, buffalo's a kind of sauce, which I guess is kind of spicy.
I mean, you find it next to the hot sauce in the grocery store. Just
like a boy protege.
Yeah, well, and yeah, I guess if that's where you're looking, and I don't know why he feels like he's got to come up with a different name every time he tries to recruit one of these kids. Why not just pick a good one? Because he's really reaching at this point. That's
a bit weird in my eyes.
I mean, we feel confident though that he hasn't succeeded yet because he's still approaching our trailblazers. But we are. It's obviously something to be concerned about. These are upstanding kids, our trailblazers. There's a vetting process, and just wanting to join our program in the first place shows that that's a serious-minded young adult.
Right.
This guy starts going around trying to recruit some of these no good teams around town. It's only a matter of time before he's got his Chipotle chap or whatever he's looking for that day.
Yeah. I don't care for that. I don't like it.
I wouldn't either. I mean, we wanted you to know. Now, obviously, as discussed before, I'm not too worried about him hurting you personally. I think you mean too much to him. I think he sees you as a foil, and so to actually hurt you or take you off the playing board, as it were, I think would kind of ruin this twisted fun that he's having right now. But he has made it clear he's more than willing to kind of mess with you. You just keep your eyes open out there.
I don't know. That makes me pretty uncomfortable, but I guess I feel a little safe that, I don't know, in some ways I'm kind of like his Jay Gatsby, maybe.
Is that now?
From the Great Gatsby. It's like I'm just like a focus of his obsession. You know, like he's my Nick Carraway, and like
with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Well, it was a book first, Sheriff. Like it was a book.
All right, because I remember that movie. I didn't know it was okay. So there was a book that they based that off of, huh?
Like the Da Vinci Code. It was a book before it became a movie.
They made a movie out of Da Vinci Code?
Oh my God, I feel like I've just changed your life. Sheriff, we're going to let you go. Thanks for calling in tonight. We got to keep Literature Week rolling on here. Even though I feel like...
Yeah, I got to get down to the library, see if they got a DVD of Da Vinci Code.
Well, thanks so much, Sheriff. We're going to go to another call right now. Let's go over here to line 2. Line 2. All right, caller, you're live on Night Drive. Go ahead and tell us what you're...
Listen up, you piece of shit. You ain't half the man that Robert Langdon is. You couldn't solve a cryptix if the code was printed on a chicken sandwich wrapper. You'd probably destroy all the contents like an absolute numbnut. He was able to figure out the code, Da Vinci's Code. T-Bing would trick you 6 ways to Sunday, you pompous blowhard. You'd be like, what's the app bash cipher? Shut up.
Okay, well, that's another vote for the Da Vinci Code. Okay, if you're just now joining us, we're talking classic literature here tonight on Night Drive. Go ahead, line 1.
Hey, Horace, it's Tyler Duncan.
Hey, Tyler.
Let me tell you, the Da Vinci Code is the absolute best. I've never actually really read it, but it is the only book I own. And that's because Tom Hanks is the star. How many books can say that?
Well, Tyler, if I crunch the numbers, I would say probably only 7 or 8. I mean, Forrest Gump, Polar Express, Bridge of Spies. I mean, all 3 of the Dan Brown books. But, thanks for calling in and sharing.
All right now, Horace.
Oof, only book he owns. Well, let's keep Literature Week rolling on here. Let's go over to line 2 and find out what line 2's favorite book is. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, am I on the air?
You are on the air, and we are waiting to hear what is your favorite piece of literature.
Oh, books, right. Well, you know what? I am a sucker for the Da Vinci Code. I mean, who isn't, right? Who isn't?
Yeah, that's been a pretty popular choice tonight.
Yeah.
What is it about the Da Vinci Code?
Well, look, I am a man of science.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in the hoodoo, but I gotta say I just like the way they brought sex back to Jesus.
Guy, what's your name?
Oh, Dr. Chester Minefield.
Dr. Chester, you've had to have read so many better books than the Da Vinci Code. You're a learned man. If you have a doctor in front of your name, I assume you have a PhD.
Yes.
And you're telling me that your favorite piece of literature, out of all the greats, out of Dickens and Bronte,
Dan Brown, he speaks to me in a way that none of these other authors ever have. I saw the cover, I had to read it. I've seen plenty of other covers. I just didn't feel the need to even crack it open, if I'm being honest.
Is it because the main character is a professor? Is that it?
I do like that he is a professor. I like that he's into symbology. He's like an Indiana Jones, but not nearly as rugged or handsome or suave, which I find just more realistic and approachable.
What is the focus of your PhD? Are you a symbologist?
Oh, no, not even close.
Is that what he does in that book?
Have you not read this book?
I frankly don't remember the details.
Good Lord.
There was like an albino whipping himself, and at that point I was like, this has got nothing on Dante's Inferno.
I'm not familiar with that title. I've never heard of it. Books are all well and good, but I'm not here to talk about symbology or albinos.
Oh, thank God.
I'm being honest.
All right.
No. My PhD, in fact, is in waves, various waves, seismic. And I think I'm onto something, and I got to tell someone other than my twin brother who is over here. Boris, say hi.
Hey, I think something. You got to listen to my brother. He's not crazy, and I think it's really important. Okay, I'm going to give the phone back to Chester. Here you go, Chester.
Thank you. Okay. As I said,
you guys have really different voices for being brothers. Did you say he was your twin?
Yes, twin. 2 minutes apart. Yes,
right.
I am the eldest. Everyone always said I was the better twin, but
that's true. It really is true. He's so smart.
You didn't have to say that, but thank you. Like I said, and like my twin Boris just backed up.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something going on. I'm not entirely sure, but I just feel I got to tell someone else.
Okay.
Got to get it out there.
Right.
So if you're open to it, I would.
Well, let's treat this like the Mona Lisa and find a bunch of weird shit in what's going on here.
True. You do have to get very close to that painting. I don't know if you've been to the Louvre, but it's not a distance look.
Yeah. Honestly, you're probably just going to see it through somebody's phone because somebody's going to be holding up their phone to take a picture, and that's going to be your best view.
Yeah. No, that's how I view most art.
By choice or just how that seems to work out?
Well, the brightness of the screen, I just feel like I could see it better.
That makes sense. So you're a wave doctor, Dr. Wave, but not a surfer. That would be a great name for a surfer.
Sure, but it'd be ridiculous to spend that much time in school to surf. I mean,
and your twin, Boris, I think you said his name was.
Yeah, it's Boris.
He said you have something. Hi, Boris. He said that you guys had something really important to tell us.
Yes. Well, okay. 2 weeks ago, I was monitoring the wavelengths on a Friday night, like I do, and I noticed something very deep in the wavelengths, and I assumed that you would be interested in this since you are on the radio waves, right?
Okay.
I'm going to break this down very simply, okay? Your radio waves, the waves that carry your voice to the people of Fakahatchee, they, how do I put this? Those are like big pond ripples.
Yeah.
It's big, when you stick your boot into the swamp and the ripple comes out, you got these big ripples. Well, within those big ripples, I am seeing tinier ripples, like a smaller boot went into the swamp just after your boot. And I think there's something strange about it. I can't pinpoint where it's coming from. But it is a mystery.
I mean, is this something that we should be worried about as citizens of Fakahatchee, Dr. Chester? And Boris?
The research is still ongoing. I don't have anything conclusive.
Well, I thought that you did. At least I thought that it was something pretty serious.
He doesn't know what he's. No, it's too early to tell.
Can I ask a question, Chester? What does Boris have his PhD in?
Cheese.
Right. And is he a fraternal or an identical twin?
I feel like you're getting a little hung up on my family tree.
I'm just curious because you guys sound so different for being brothers. Like totally like you sound like you lived in New York for 10 years, and Boris sounds like he woke up in Frankenstein's lab.
Yeah, well, I got my mother's voice and he got my dad's voice. What more do you want from me?
Okay, sorry.
I don't know why I'm getting the fifth degree here.
Okay, back to the waves. What's causing this? Is this just the radio station? Is this something that like KFAK is doing right now, or?
I can tell you with absolute certainty that these are not caused by the radio stations.
Okay.
These waves seem to be much lower to the ground.
Right.
And I think they're being spurned on by, I don't know, maybe the wetlands, salts in the ground and the water, and that kind of permeates and it pushes these waves like what would a layman understand? That pushes it like a grocery cart.
Okay.
Except it doesn't have a squeaky wheel. It has a very oily, silent wheel, and no one else can hear it. But I heard it. Horace, I heard the wheel. I don't know what's doing this. I don't know who's behind it, but it's there. The wheel is there.
Huh. Could this affect the citizens in any way? Do I need to put on foil on the inside of my baseball cap?
Well, it certainly wouldn't hurt. And who knows? You could maybe even make it fashionable. But that's beside the point.
Right.
The point is that this is real. I'm not crazy. Don't think I'm crazy. I don't know if there's going to be any harm. It could potentially be.
Well, what's the potential for danger here?
Well, potentially these waves could interact with the human neurons in various different ways. Perhaps, someone else will suddenly feel anger out of nowhere because a trout jumped out of the water. I don't know, Horace.
Got it.
Don't know.
So like potentially mood swings or I guess hallucinations is kind of what you're hinting at?
Anything is possible. Quite anything is possible. Much like the writings of Dan Brown.
Let me, we know what your favorite book is. What is Boris's favorite book? What does Boris like to read? Let me speak to Boris for a second.
Okay. Here you go, Boris.
Oh, I don't read. I listen to my brother. You should too.
Boris, put Chester back on.
Okay. All right. Are we good now?
I actually, sorry, I had one more question for Boris, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What is it? I'm late for my shows. I'm just a layman, man. I'm just a boy.
I'm sorry. You're just a boy?
You're as old as you feel, right?
I can't argue with that. Put Chester back on if you don't mind.
Okay. I really hope that's the last time I have to hand the phone off because it's very frustrating. I feel like you're not taking me seriously.
Right. I'm just curious about Boris. I mean, we found out a lot about you, and I mean, what does Boris think that we should do to protect ourselves from this?
Look, it doesn't matter what Boris thinks. Boris thinks what I tell him.
He always does exactly what you say?
Not exactly. He has opinions as a separate person, obviously, but
did you hear that, Boris?
He said something, but I'm starting to think that he shouldn't be trusted.
I don't know why. I don't know why he even.
It seems like you and your twin have really different opinions about this phone call. Like he was supporting you up front, and now he says you're not to be trusted.
Yeah, no, don't listen to him. You listen to me.
Right.
I'm Dr. Wave, as you put it so eloquently, and he's just a moron, right? So again, not crazy, and we need to do something about this potentially. At the very least, I need to be let back into the university because I can only do so much on my own, you know?
Interesting that you mentioned doing stuff on your own. How do you end up studying these waves? Do you spend a lot of time by yourself in solitary?
I mean, yeah, there aren't discotheques for those interested in waves.
Right.
There might be a dance move called the wave, but it has actually nothing to do with our work.
So when you're studying these things, you're sort of by yourself for long periods of time?
I don't see how that's relevant.
Boris might think it's relevant.
Look, we don't see how that's relevant.
Right. Well, Doctor, thank you so much for calling in tonight. I really think that we're going to get back to Literature Week. We've got a lot of people who like the Da Vinci Code already, and frankly, Boris doesn't read, so I think we're going to move on.
Look to the ground and always trust Dan Brown.
Right. All right, we've got just a little time for some of these emails and tweets. Some of you are out there listening, but you can't get to a phone for whatever reason. Well, don't panic. Put your head between your legs and grab a paper bag to breathe into until you calm yourself down, and then reach out to us through the social networks. Bonus point if the paper bag has some fresh-baked cookies in it. I think even Dr. Scroggins would say, that's safe huffing. Puce Higgins hit us up on Twitter at NightDriveFM to say, okay, it's a thread. Salutations, Horace. To my eye, there is no finer read than the gripping prose contained within the novel The Da Vinci Club. Yeah, he actually wrote Club. What a page-turner to accompany you either beach or poolside. The perfect accoutrement to any of my fine wines available at keywestwines.net. Like my Crystal Key. Okay, it seems like the rest of this is just him trying to get free ad time for his wines. You've made your point. Thanks, Puce. Polly Fibbage tagged us on Instagram at NightDriveFM Insta of her smiling and holding a book on a powerboat. Pretty picture. I can't quite tell what she's reading here. Below, she's typed hashtag rereading. It looks like she's also tagged author Dan Brown. In the comments below, that's okay. It's apparently the hardback of the Da Vinci Code without the book jacket on. Terrific. Thanks very much, Polly. Father Jonah Likely of the Sanctuary tweeted at NightDriveFM to say, to my mind, there is no greater book than the good book. I guess that just makes sense. Though if I had to pick among the Gospels between Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, I'd probably pick the Gospel according to Dan Brown. The others just aren't my kind of thriller, and the Da Vinci Code is one book I can't just hit and quit. Thanks, Father. All right, enough of the written word. Let's get back to your calls and opinions. Right now, again, that number to call is 305-209-9686. It's Literature Week, guys. Let's talk about the classics. We never get a chance to do this. Mary Shelley, Hemingway, J.K. Rowling, I'll take as a classic if I have to. Go ahead, line one.
Hey there, Horace. It's Shirley.
Hey, Shirley. What's your favorite piece of literature?
I was just wanting to let you know my favorite part of the Da Vinci Code is the part where
Shirley, no. I'm not asking what your favorite part of the Da Vinci Code. Volleyball. Shirley, that's not even a book.
And he's talking to Wilson.
Shirley, Shirley, please.
It's not a person. It's a volleyball, and he's sitting there chatting with Wilson and everything. Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite part of that Da Vinci Code. Oh, Wilson, you're the best part of it.
She just hung up, and this has been the opposite of Literature Week. All right, let's go over here to line one. Line one. Go ahead, caller. Tell me all about why you love the Da Vinci Code.
What? I thought tonight's episode was about literature.
Yeah, but you're just going to tell me about the Da Vinci Code, so...
Oh, well, I've never read it.
Oh, wait. So you're calling in to talk about the classics?
Indubitably.
Okay. To your mind, what do you think is the most valuable piece of classical literature?
Well, in terms of pure value and universal truths, I do think pound for pound, nothing is more relevant and possibly resonant than 2013's Maxim's Top 100. Did you know Zoe Saldana was number 38? That seems like a robbery, and I do love a good caper.
All right, that's it. I'm done. Literature Week is over. I'm cutting it off. I'm pulling the plug. I don't care how many more of you are waiting on the lines to call in tonight. We're cutting you off. I hope you'll call back for Da Vinci Week, which is not a thing that's happening, by the way. I'm being sarcastic. Please don't call in 6 months from now trying to talk about the Da Vinci Code again, or Angels and Demons, or Digital Fortress. I don't want to hear it, and not even if you're Dan Brown. So I don't even care if it's not quite 5 o'clock to end the show. We'll just run the mandated buzzing longer or something. I don't care. I'm done with the show this week. For those of you who stuck with us, I apologize, and I'd like to thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, rate the show, review the show, but more importantly, tell a friend or a stranger about the show. A lot of people need another podcast in their life, and I won't say it makes you a hero, because, well, you could be one of those anti-hero types. So if you are, feel free to write NightDrive backward on your fist and then punch it into a bad guy's forehead so when he looks at himself in the mirror later, he'll know about the show. Or, no, wait, write it forwards. That's how mirrors work. You can reach the show on Twitter at NightDriveFM, on Instagram at NightDriveFM Insta, or on Reddit at r/NightDriveFM. Or as always, come join us in our Discord. It's an open invitation to everyone, and we've got people from across the globe in there. So just hit us up on one of the social networks for the link, and then get in there, join the rest of the community. It's got a real fun little clubhouse vibe. We did a bit for the Royal Rumble last month that had a ton of people participating, and there's always folks in there chatting or sharing things. A lot of dog photos, cat photos, talking about what games they're playing. And a great place if you're looking for a community to finish out the pandemic in. If you really love this show, why not become one of our patrons and support the show at patreon.com/NightDrive. We use that money for hosting for the podcast, bandwidth for the fake websites, sound gear, etc. You'll also get $4 off on Teespring for wearable merch. And on the merch side, we've got shirts, mugs, face masks, etc. We've got an official Night Drive Season 1 poster that is absolutely incredible. I've got one framed on my wall. And those are a limited edition, so when they're gone, they're gone. I'm not going to be printing up more of those. That, along with some other bits and bobs like pins and stickers and magnets, are available as well. And you can find all of that at nightdrivemerch.com, which will take you to those two storefronts. Also, Dinosaurin is back. Now that Dinosaurs is back on Disney Plus, I've blown the dust off the only podcast about ABC's hit 90s show, Dinosaurs. Episode 3 took place in my cold garage. What lies in store for episode 4, wherein Fran gets courted by a T-Rex? You'll have to join the Patreon to find out. Night Drive is produced by Michael Trulli and is hosted by a man who knows that the private selection brand of capers is actually the generic store brand, me, Horace Wexler. The callers were ably played with stoic determination by Casey Redmon, Evan Gaustad, and Clayton Meeks, with additional vocal support by Lydia Alemu, KSantos, Gerald Dudley, and Michael Cruz. I'd also like to thank our lightning callers, Nathan Greenaway and Tyler Harville, and a very special thank you to our musical guest, the Didgeridopes. Sorry for laughing when you referred to those things as your instrument. That was very rude of me. Good Morning Sunbuns with Tiffany Bunzell takes over tomorrow at 5 a.m. Tomorrow, Tiffany speaks with a Kraken researcher to find out if there's anything you can do at home to make sure the Kraken stays unreleased. She'll also be joined by one of the editors of Good Housekeeping, who will share how to get bloodstains out of your wedding dress. And finally, Tiffany will sit down for a heart-to-heart with actor Taft Flexton about what he did to prepare for his role as a chimpanzee detective. Until Tiffany takes over, here's 4.5 hours of government-mandated buzzing that you can pretend is a bunch of bees plotting a murder for revenge. Until next time, I'm Horace Wexler. Keep night driving.